Scott, what we are talking about is posters who seem to express delight in the assassination, sometimes using the crudest of language, which has sparked a counter movement by others to flag these posts and then out these other individuals, particularly to their employers. One legal expert says whether it leads to someone's firing, though, could come down to the type of outfit they work for. Lucinda Findlay is a professor of law at the University at Buffalo.
The First Amendment only applies to government action. So private employers, a private company, it's free to fire you if it's, unless it has a contract that says it has to be for cause, something related to your job performance. But government employers present a very different situation that the First Amendment does apply to.
Because they work for the government.
The Supreme Court said that when public employees are speaking as citizens, they have the First Amendment right to do that. And the employer, say the school, can discipline them for their speech only if the school board proves, not surmises or guesses, but actually proves that the speech caused a substantial, not minor, but substantial disruption of school functioning. And that's a fairly high bar to meet.
Are you saying that if you work for the government, that they can't tell you, hey, or fire you for mouthing off on social media and saying something that is generally viewed as offensive?
Just like the government couldn't punish any citizen, any member of society for posting something the government doesn't like on social media, they cannot punish their employees for doing that if, this is the big if the employee is speaking as a citizen.
It could be a different case if, for example, the teacher expressed an incendiary or offensive viewpoint in class.
That's speaking as part of your job, as part of your job duties. For that, the employer, the government employer, has the same right to control what the employee says and does as a private employer.
Bottom line?
And I would remind people that just because you have a First Amendment right to say something doesn't mean it's a wise idea.
Because even if you don't lose your job, you could still lose.
You can lose the respect of your colleagues. You can lose a certain, trustful collegiality in the workplace. You can, lose the respect of your students. I think what teachers can do in times like this is to talk to people about the importance of free speech, but to say that doesn't mean we should be irresponsible.
This also raises a question that if a government employer has a social media policy, could an employee lose their job for violating that? Well, noting that policies aren't laws, Professor Findlay is somewhat skeptical that those policies could stand up to the first law ever passed in this nation, the one that says Congress shall make no law abridging certain freedoms, including that of free speech. On your side of the newsroom, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Amanda Thompson, Tania Wilson, Kiara Hudson Benefield. 3 women, domestic violence victims, all had orders of protection. The perpetrators were out of prison, and now the women are all dead. The laws are passed here in Albany. That includes bail reform. Controversial? Yes. When it comes to judges and bail reform?
Well, clearly it can be tweaked, but we have to have enough lawmakers who have the will to do this. Political will, if you must.
To give them the ability to evaluate someone's on the basis of their dangerousness. This is critical. A judge needs to be able to look at a guy like that and say, we need to hold him without bail. It's not about money. It's not about rich versus poor. It's about someone who is a danger to other folks and should not be on the street.
The Justice for Rachel bill creates judicial discretion in dangerousness hearings for these types of situations.
When it comes to orders of protection, what's the penalty for when people violate it?
The legislature has inserted itself by making these adjustments to bail reform into the judicial system by essentially directing judges how to act and how to make determinations.
So who's to blame?
I would say the legislature. I would say the entirety of the New York State government.
We can make the penalties more severe. We could also, if somebody is charged and ultimately convicted of violating an order of protection, we can put laws forward that do not allow those cases to be plea bargained away.
Everything about the Granville case has been suspicious from day one, unfortunately, and here we are a long time past this incident, and it seems to be continuing.
The day after DJ Granville walked out of Buffalo City Court with a criminal record, Sheriff John Garcia said his narco chief was suspended for 30 days. In an August 19th statement, the sheriff said, "I did take into consideration the fact that DJ Granville has been an exemplary employee with no previous history of discipline or misconduct. That's why we filed a Freedom of Information Law request with the Erie County District Attorney. DA Mike Kane possesses personnel files for police officers whose credibility might be questioned on the witness stand. We requested misconduct allegations, disciplinary actions, internal investigations, as well as reports and/or documentation of the outcomes of those complaints for Granville. We specifically stated that we were not requesting any documents created after Granville's hit-and-run crashes in 2024, which are still part of an ongoing investigation by the Niagara County DA. Kane's office denied the request, stating that it possesses the records, quote, to comply with our statutory discovery obligations, and that we should ask the Sheriff's Office for the records. Paul Wolf, an attorney who founded the New York Coalition for Open Government, says the law is clear.
My understanding of the Freedom of Information Law is what you were asking for should have been provided to you. And unfortunately, they've put forth several reasons which I think are completely bogus as far as denying your request.
Two on your side appealed the ruling, writing to the DA that this case is a matter of great public concern, as it deals with allegations of police corruption and special treatment those in law enforcement receive from the system in which they operate. The DA's office again denied our request, citing an Erie County Legislature investigation that never began and an Attorney General investigation which has not been opened and may never be.
The case law is pretty clear here that police disciplinary records are subject to being released to the public. This has been litigated over and over. So, the excuses that they're giving you are nothing but excuses.
Kane denied our request for an interview, but said in a statement that his office, quote, is committed to transparency, accountability, and adherence to the law. We must carefully balance the disclosure of information to the media and the public with our legal obligations. Wolf says the denial will further erode public confidence in law enforcement.
I think everything about this case has damaged public trust. The way we had relatives involved, the way we have police officials involved, and now, unfortunately, we have the district attorney's office withholding documents. This is not helping to build public trust.
Take a stroll by the Titletown football field or the shops and restaurants alongside the sledding hill and skating trail, and you soon understand that despite its name, Titletown is about a lot more than football.
It's changed the perception of the Green Bay community.
There's no other place like this, and I know I'm a Packer fan. It seems like a place you don't necessarily need a game to enjoy.
And as Mark Murphy, the Packers' recently retired president and CEO, will tell you, it did not happen by accident.
Pretty early in my tenure, we started buying land up around Lambeau Field, knowing that it would be valuable without a specific purpose in mind, though.
Murphy started in 2007. It wasn't until 2015, he says, that a vision came together. Having toured Patriot Place in Foxborough, Massachusetts, like we did 3 years ago, they had a blueprint but wanted to make it their own.
That was more like a mall next to a stadium, and we wanted something that really was reflective of Green Bay and the Packers, and, we wanted something also that would bring people to the community.
The 45-acre development just west of Lambeau Field is now the new blueprint for many sports franchises, the Buffalo Bills and Orchard Park included.
Investing in the community was a priority for us, and we wanted to do it. Not knowing the specifics, but just the interactions that I've had with Terry, I know he's really committed to, development, to first of all, building a first-class stadium, and, they're well on their way to that.
Green Bay is the smallest NFL market, and Buffalo is the second, although the Packers are in the unique position of being publicly owned, which Murphy says may change things.
Well, for instance, a private developer would not put a full 100-yard football field right in the middle of their development. it turns out the return on that is not great. But we knew that fans would love it, and that we wanted that to be one of the signatures.
Titletown has become a source of pride for Packer fans, attracting nearly 1 million people every year to the public playground, farmers markets, yoga classes, and of course, tailgating.
Absolutely.
With folks like Kelly Fulser.
It's more than just a football thing. This is a community thing.
Randy Hurley will tell you the distance from his garage door
with 390 yards
to the legendary Lambeau. And that development has meant other changes.
This place has tripled in value in 8 years. Tripled in value. Airbnb across the street, tripled in value.
More and more homes, Hurley says, are becoming rental properties or Packer homes, leading to those higher prices, a side effect or benefit of the area becoming more attractive depending on who you ask.
1265 Lombardi Avenue, home of the Green Bay Packers. Doesn't bother us.
It's worth a lot of money, but it's worth a lot more because of the Packers coming in. The issue is if every single house around here becomes a Packer house, they're all rentals. And I don't want to live in a neighborhood like that. We'll see what happens in the future.
The past 49 years have been spent here by Tom Prevost.
Yeah, I'll let you take that home if you want.
His home is just down the street from Lambeau and now across from Titletown. While his neighborhood has changed, he says it's been a net positive for Green Bay and nearby Ashwaubenon.
My advice would be to make sure that the people as you communicate to the people what you're going to do. Let them voice their opinion. You're always going to have somebody, negative, they don't want it to come and so on and so forth. But I think if you go back later, I got a feeling what you're going to find is that I think a lot of these people changed their minds.
This is the community. This would be a toilet paper town. They make toilet paper 2 miles down the road. A ton of it. 60,000 cases of toilet paper a day. Okay? We would be a toilet paper town if we didn't have the Green Bay Packers.
The Titletown you see today from high atop the sledding hill also isn't the final version. With 3 parking lots planned for future development, Murphy says their apartments have been very popular. Needless to say, the Packers have given Western New York a lot to think about and believe the Bills' new stadium could be just the start.
The Pagula family's been tremendous for Buffalo, and but it's I don't want to speak for him, but I know some of the discussions that we've had that he's very interested in a number of the things that we've done, not only in the stadium, but around the stadium.
Well, what started out as a summer vacation for star defenseman Rasmus Dahlin and his fiancée, Karolina Matovec, quickly turned into a months-long journey of heart transplant and recovery.
I couldn't be more thankful and for all the support.
For Rasmus Dahlin, gratitude is the word today, after watching his fiancée fight through a life-threatening health crisis. In a letter shared by the Sabres, Dahlin revealed that his fiancée received a heart transplant while they were in France earlier this summer. He says she became ill while they were vacationing there, which quickly escalated into major heart failure. She spent weeks on life support before undergoing that transplant in a French hospital. But the couple did not have to face it alone. Dahlin says his team stood by them through it all.
Very supportive. They've been there for me since day one, and I can't be more thankful for all the support we've got, and I can't be more thankful for how hard she works every day.
Watching his fiancée fight through what he calls one of the most difficult chapters of their lives has inspired him.
I'm in a good place. I see my fiancée work hard every day. That makes me very motivated.
Karolina is now in rehab. Dahlin says she's doing well and on the road to full recovery. On your side, Alyssa Clausel, Channel 2 News.
The controversy over the future operation of the Hyde Park Ice Pavilion has raged here in Niagara Falls for the past couple of months as the administration of Mayor Robert Restaino opened up a contract bidding process for the city-owned facility. City officials decided to go with the Albany-based Legacy Hospitality and Entertainment Group instead of the Niagara Sports Tournament, or NST Group, which had been in place here since 2012 with the 2-rink pavilion and all the adult league play as well as youth hockey tournaments. But technically, their contract with the city expired in 2020. They were kept on by city officials till now. The city administrator was not available today, but he did speak with us back in August.
The new operator proposal was better for the city, and that's who we recommended to the city council.
But after a very contentious city council meeting last night, whereby a 3-2 vote, council decided not to go along with the city's plan for Legacy amidst a packed crowd with young hockey players, parents, and supporters. NST President Mike Corella is speaking out and questioning the city administration's claims, especially for taxpayers.
Legacy came in and put a big number up there, but they don't know anything about the rink. So their number's huge. Yes, it's big. It's probably 30 or 40,000 more than mine a year. I don't remember what it was. But I bumped my bid to almost the maximum we can pay. If we owed all this money, why would you send me another RFP packet to fill out the bid for this rink if I'm such a bad tenant, right? You would think they would have said, okay, you guys are gone. We're going to send them to everybody else. We're not going to send one to you. Well, we got one for the last 4 times they put out a bid. We've always received a packet.
Nearly 2 decades of questions now have answers, but loved ones say their pain will never go away. Now, Richard Fox pleaded guilty today to murdering Cassandra Watson and Marquita Mall. Their remains were discovered together in the same location in Chautauqua County in 2021. Now, Watson disappeared around 2003. Mall went missing in 2021. Now, investigators link Fox to both crimes after forensic testing and genealogy work tied him to the remains. Family members of Mall say the plea brings justice, but not closure.
You know, he did say he was guilty and justice been done, but the one thing is that we are going to still live with a broken heart. He didn't have the right to go and take someone's loved one from their families, even if he thought nobody cared about them or missed them. There's people that do miss these people that are gone now.
Fox faces 40 years to life in prison when he is sentenced on November 20th. He remains held without bail. Now, coming up, I have more on this story. Plus, we'll hear from Richard Fox's lawyers and their message to the families affected by these incidents. On your side in the newsroom, I'm Alexandra Rios-Malvia, Channel 2 News.
Police say around 1 a.m. on Monday, officers spotted Dale Gabler of Buffalo running in the 800 block of Amherst Street. After further investigation, police found that Gabler had allegedly entered a home and loaded one of the homeowner's vehicles with stolen property. Gabler was taken into custody later that day.
He was remanded. He's still in custody, and there's probably a handful more that are still being actively investigated. So any cases that burglaries beforehand, before he was caught, that are still going to be fully investigated.
Police say in the last 10 days, Gabler allegedly broke into several homes on Lincoln Parkway and other neighborhoods across the city.
Yes, we do have him, but that doesn't mean all the burglaries will stop. I think you should always take steps, no matter where you live. Take precautions. Keep lights on. If you have an alarm, keep the alarm on.
Buffalo police say at the time of his arrest, Gabler was on parole from time served for past burglaries. The Buffalo Police Commissioner says New York's bail reform law makes it difficult to keep repeat offenders off the street.
Something has to change. It makes it much tougher for us to fight laws, but it has to be adjusted in some way.
For 40 years, it was one of Niagara's biggest attractions.
If you were an adventure seeker and you were looking for a thrill ride, you'd come to Niagara Falls and hop on the Niagara Great Gorge Route trolley.
And bits of it are still visible today, most of the Gorge Trail system, for example. Plus these foundations for a bridge which once spanned this ravine at Art Park.
There was a station in Niagara Falls, New York, and then it would go across the suspension bridge, come down the Canadian side along where the parkway would be today, across the Lewiston-Queenston suspension bridge to Lewiston, and then back to Niagara Falls. So it was an international loop.
And an international draw.
A lot of people at the time thought it was more fun than looking at the falls itself.
The thrills even attracted a president.
It could accommodate up to 17,000 people a day, and it did. It was capacity.
Yes, that's William McKinley on September 6, 1901. He spent the morning riding the train on the U.S. side before headed back to Buffalo. Yes, that was the same day he was gunned down at the Pan Am Exposition.
It was a ride of a lifetime, if you survived. The fact is that by 1917, 25 people had already died on the ride.
The train ride itself was mired with derailments that led to several drownings in the rapids.
You had a sheer cliff on one side, you had the rapids that you could practically hold your hand out and touch on the other, and it was just so exciting people couldn't help themselves.
And ultimately, it was the terrain that did the Niagara Gorge line in, as a rock slide took out about 200 feet of tracks. Its last run, September 17th, 1935, 90 years ago this week.
My name is Chef Camille. I'm 32 years old and I'm the chef owner at Camille Private Chef. And I've been doing private dinner for the last 4 years and a half, entering my 5th year. And I'm a Buffalo firefighter.
Chef Camille LeCaire keeps busy. In this third-floor studio kitchen at 27 Chandler Street in North Buffalo, he hosts classes and preps for his private dinners.
We have croissants coming up, we have creme brulee, we have a filet mignon class where you learn how to baste the filet, where you learn how to make your own risotto, you bring your own wines, and then you get to make a chocolate mousse.
He also has a popular Bills-themed macaroons class.
It's a tailgate baking class, giving you time to craft your macarons, get some mimosa or coffee, and you game up with the macarons. You leave with a dozen of macaron cookie, and then you get to bring them to your viewing.
And now Chef Camille is also gearing up for his 4th appearance on the Food Network.
It is creepy, and I am here for it.
He's competing in the Halloween Baking Championship.
It's very funny because it's like you don't really know how it's gonna look, it's like on camera, and it's goofy, and it's a show that really is like I'm excited for my children to watch with me because it's spooky and it's family oriented.
The show starts this week and airs Mondays at 9 p.m.
Watch Mondays. The show, and then come here, learn about croissants, macarons. Look it up on www.camilleprivatechef.com.